And at that time, I as a non-Muslim, I was dating. I was, going to parties, and I met other guys and stuff like that. And so it was just like another guy that I met in the party and gave me his number, and that's it. Well, like about a week later, he called me, and so then we started talking. And we started talking, and we talked so much during 1 month that his bill came up to $600 in 1 month, because we talked for like hours on the phone. Then he said, I'm gonna come back. Can I see you? And I said, okay. I said, but you know what? If you want to see me, you're gonna have to come to my house and pick me up. And let me tell you something. In that party, I always go out with my friends, very close friends or cousins. I had never really go out with guys to a discotheque or live in a party with a guy. Because that's not how we are. That's not how we are. We always protect each other. We go in a group of girls and come back in that same group of girls. Nobody goes with anybody. That night, it was the first time that I leave the party with somebody, and that one was my husband. And I don't know why. My friends asked me, "Are you sure? Call us as soon as you get home." And I'm like, "Yeah, I think it'll be okay." So he took me home. I had to teach him some manners because, as an American, I guess dealing with American ladies, he just parked the taxi cab, stopped, and he's like, "Okay, well, bye." And I'm like, "Bye? You have to walk me to my door." I said, "You don't just say bye. You have to walk me to my door and wait until I get in, and then you can go." So then he was like, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry," So then he did. So that's one of the things that, being, I guess, only girl, my brothers and my dad had always taught me that the guys have to, they have to work for you if they really want you. So that was, it was just funny. I always say that because he now he's very different dealing with my family and our culture. But at that time, he was just, "Okay, well, bye." I'm like, you have to take me. So after that, we start calling and talking and everything. And then when he came to my house. So he said, "Yeah, no problem. I'll come to your house. I meet your parents. I don't have any problem with that." So he came and brought presents for me, flowers. So my parents were ecstatic. They were so happy. But they didn't like the age difference. My husband is 13 years older than me. And, at that time I was 20. So we went out, we went to the mall, we went to eat. He treated me very nice. Everything was very good. So we repeat this almost every month at the point that we got to fall in love, actually. And during this time, I've seen him pray. He practiced. He is very a practicing Muslim. He's a modern Muslim, but he practiced. So the first time I saw him pray, I felt so like I didn't belong there. Like I was an intruder on his prayer. So then I asked him, "What is that you're doing?" He said, "Well, I'm praying." I said, "Why are you praying?" "Well, I'm Muslim." And I said, "What is that?" So then he explained to me. And at that time, it was the craze. In my country, I started the craze of the personal computers. And so he brought me one from here. My family is not, they're not rich. My family were not, we couldn't afford a computer, that's for sure, at that time. So he took the effort to bring a computer to my place so I could communicate with him. I could still do, college. And that's how I started learning more about Islam. So then he brought me books. And at this time, I learned about Islam but I also wanted to study my own religion because I didn't want to commit to something that I was not knowledgeable enough, and also because I didn't know enough about my own religion. I just knew what they tell you in church. So I started going to church, listening to the sermons, and reading the Bible. Then I learned there's a difference between the Old Testament and the New Testament, and that difference is Jesus. That's everything changes after Jesus is crucified. And then I discovered that the Old Testament is actually almost the same as the Quran. They have the same characters, the same history and stories. So I found that very peculiar, and that made it the transition for me to believe on what Islam, the basis of Islam, was easier because of that. So of course, when I started going to church more often, my mom was so pleased. And another thing that she liked is that Muslims do not drink, right? So if my husband will take me out, she knows we were not going to drink, because in my country, there's no party if there's no drinking. So that's, it can be a child's birthday party, but you're gonna find alcohol in that party. So that's something that they loved, that there was no drinking when we go out. Of course, no drugs, things like that. So they feel pretty secure, having me to go with him. So when I convert, I think I got my husband out of, I caught him by surprise. Because what I told him, I said, I have learned about Islam, I have read, I have compared, and I even talked to the priest in my church. I asked questions that he could not answer, that Quran answer. So I think I want to be a Muslim. And he said, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that I want to be a Muslim. We were already 6 months into a relationship. We were boyfriend and girlfriend. And so I said, I do really like it. I do really enjoy the straight, the religion is so straightforward. There's no around, it tells you, you do this, you don't do this, and that's it. And the Catholicism is not like that. You just, they never answer you the questions. You just stay okay. So what is the reason for kneeling in the church? Oh, you just have to kneel. That's the way it is. You don't have to ask. And in Islam, they will explain to you why you don't drink, why you have to cover, why you have to, not eat pork, right? So that's what I liked. So when I decided, I told him, and he's like, okay. So my first shahada was with him, just me and him. I became Muslim, just like that. And after that, we decided that we were going to get engaged. And he was very afraid because his family didn't know completely that I had become Muslim. And he's from Bangladesh, and they're very traditional Muslims. So, and particularly in his family, my brother-in-law and my sister-in-law, they have been arranged marriage. So they were expecting him to be an arranged marriage too. At that time, his dad was very, very sick. He was already in the, time of passing away. And so he said, I don't want to tell nothing to anybody. I want to wait because I don't want to bring something else to the plate. Everybody's dealing with my dad's disease and the fact that he's gonna pass any time. So I said, okay. He went to see his parents before his dad passed away, and I was so scared because I know how important a promise is in Islam. When you promise something, you have to do it, otherwise it stays there like you didn't do it. So I was so afraid that his dad will make him promise that he will marry somebody from there.